This entertaining story begins by introducing a very rich man named Martin. Martin lived inside his luxurious home with his wife, Lisa, and their 3 children. The names of the children were Finn, Sophie, and Anna. Anna was the eldest sister, and Finn was the youngest. Martin and Lisa managed a large business, which is why they couldn't spend much time with their children. Due to their busy schedule, they had to go out, leaving Anna responsible for taking care of her younger siblings. Because of this, they had activated the alarm system so that no unknown person could open the front door. Both parents left for an important meeting, and now the 3 children were alone at home. It was nighttime, and Finn was continuously playing video games. Suddenly, we see a CCTV camera showing that although no one was visible, it seemed that someone was definitely present there. Whatever was there had hacked all the security cameras and completely disabled the house's alarm system. Now, that unknown entity had opened the gate and entered inside. Before they knew it, the electricity in their house completely went out. Due to the darkness, little Finn, who had been playing video games, became very scared. He slowly walked to his sister's room to see what she was doing. Outside, we could still feel the presence of that strange personality that was slowly coming inside, though it remained invisible. But when Finn reached his older sister Anna, she came to him with a knife in her hands, her whole body covered in blood as if she had committed murder. Anna was behaving very strangely, insisting that her brother open his mouth. Finn was very scared, so he didn't say much. Suddenly, Anna began to hear a noise from inside the house, which she told her brother could mean that something had come to that place. She insisted that if they wanted to survive, they had to leave. Anna immediately got Finn into the car and drove far away from their home. From her face, it seemed she had seen something strange that had completely disturbed her mental condition. Anna then took her little brother Finn to a very large bridge. She kept telling Finn that the unknown entity could come there at any moment. Therefore, she stood by the railing of the bridge and called Finn to join her on that side of the fencing because it was a safe place. Although Finn was scared, he eventually agreed after Anna insisted repeatedly and came to his sister. However, in reality, Anna wanted to push Finn down so that they would both die. Finn held onto the fencing tightly. Anna was trying to pull her little brother's leg down, but Finn didn't give up and managed to kick his sister, pushing her down instead. If he hadn't done that, Anna would have taken him down with her, which would have been a fair decision. But Finn was in shock as he witnessed all this because he never expected it. After a while, police officers arrived, and Finn's parents, Martin and Lisa, also reached the scene. They were devastated to learn that their daughter Anna was dead and that their son Finn had narrowly escaped death. For the time being, they took Finn to a medical emergency for care. Martin and Lisa decided to leave that house and moved far away. We then see a scene set 15 years later, where Finn has grown up but still experiences childhood visions of how his sister Anna tried to kill him. Due to these recurring visions, Finn couldn't even sleep well. As a result, he was constantly undergoing treatment to help him cope. Finn had a family doctor named Dr. Singh, who had been with them since the beginning and was making significant efforts to improve Finn's mental condition. Finn got along well with Dr. Singh, confiding even the smallest details to her. In a way, Finn started to see Dr. Singh as a big sister. Dr. Singh advised him to pay attention to his health and suggested that spending more time with friends would help him avoid those visions. Following her advice, Finn decided to head straight to college. At college, Finn met his best friend named Lena, who was very happy to see him safe and sound. Here, we learn that Finn is in love with a girl named Mira, but he hasn't been able to tell her yet. In fact, Finn is afraid of rejection, which is why he has never spoken up. Now, Max, a classmate of Finn and Lena, comes to them and tells them that there's a party tonight, and all the college students are invited. He encourages both of them to attend. As night falls, Finn goes to the party with all his friends to have fun. Everyone is drinking quite a bit, so Finn decides to try a little too. However, as soon as he loses his composure, he suddenly experiences another vision, the same moment when his sister Anna tried to kill him. Finn imagines holding that bloody knife in his hand and recalls the moment when someone entered their home. As he relives this scene, Finn begins to feel a headache and decides to go straight home. The next morning, when Finn wakes up, his head still hurts. He tells his father, Martin, about it, and Martin immediately sends him to the hospital. The reason is that their grandfather is also admitted to the hospital. He has been unwell for a long time. Finn goes to visit him, as he is very attached to his grandfather and chats with him a lot. Finn asks his grandfather why he keeps seeing these visions, explaining that he saw a black shadow moving towards him. He wonders why such terrifying things are happening to him. His grandfather responds that perhaps he has fallen ill and that these hallucinations are due to his condition. He advises Finn to take medication and rest. Finn accepts his grandfather's advice and goes home. That night, while trying to sleep, Finn begins to hear strange noises. He quickly gets up and heads downstairs to investigate the source of the noise. However, upon looking down, Finn is shocked to see that his parents are there, along with many relatives, moving forward. His little sister is standing right in the middle of them, about 100 feet away. Finn begins to watch them closely, noticing an old woman starting to remove her clothes. And then she starts touching Sophie in a very strange way, making it seem like they are performing some type of ritual, and no one is in their right mind, not even Finn's mom and dad. As Finn tries to uncover more about these things, suddenly a shadow appears in front of him, and he collapses unconscious. Finn's mom and dad try to wake him up, thinking he might have had a seizure that caused him to faint. Slowly, as Finn opens his eyes, he sees his mom and dad in front of him and asks one question. "Who else came into this house besides you guys? Because I saw something strange in my visions?" But Finn's mom and dad explain that who would come into the house at midnight and that he probably took too many medicines, which is causing side effects. They advise him to focus on resting and not to think about anything else. In a way, Finn's mom and dad try to divert him so he wouldn't focus on his vision. However, Finn starts to worry about his little sister Sophie. He realizes that Sophie's life might be in danger, so he begins to make every effort to stay close to her and protect her. But Sophie doesn't appreciate this extra care. She prefers to be independent and comfortable. She tells her older brother Finn not to act like her parent, insisting that she has every right to live her life on her own terms. Finn notices that Sophie has become more aggressive in her behavior. At college, Sophie had a boyfriend named Brian, but Finn observes that she is no longer talking to Brian. She doesn't even want to see his face anymore. Brian is confused about what suddenly happened to Sophie. He even comes over to their house to meet her, but Sophie completely ignores him. Finn then explains to Brian that she doesn't want to see him anymore, so he should leave. It seems like Brian wants to discuss something important, but he is not permitted to stay and has to go. While Finn is in his room, he starts having strange visions, where he sees a weird spirit hiding under his sister's bed. And that demon was continuously approaching Sophie to kill her. This made Finn extremely anxious, so he sat down beside his sister. He had weapons in his hands, ready to kill that demon. However, when Sophie found out about this, she became very angry with him. She told her brother Finn that he was crazy and that he should leave because she didn't need anyone's protection. Finn was frustrated, wondering why Sophie didn't trust him. Shortly after, Finn received a call from Brian. Brian said he needed to talk to Finn about something important, so Finn should meet him as soon as possible. Now Finn had to figure out what was really happening, so they coordinated to meet at a small restaurant. Finn set off on his bicycle to reach the restaurant, where Brian was already waiting for him. Suddenly, an old woman appeared in front of Brian and attacked him in a mysterious manner. The old woman tortured Brian so much that he went insane, and in the end, she killed him. A little while later, when Finn arrived at the scene, he saw Brian's dead body and couldn't understand who had done this to him. He quickly called the police officers to investigate the matter. Hearing Finn's account, his father, Martin, also arrived at the scene. When the police officers began their investigation of Brian, they suggested that he must have been under the influence of something, which led to a loss of control over his body and ultimately his death. This meant that the police were treating the case as a suicide. However, Finn was trying to explain to them that it was not a suicide but a murder because there had been an old woman in the restaurant before he arrived, and he believed that she had killed Brian. The police officers didn't believe Finn's claims. In frustration, Finn requested his father, Martin, to help him, and Martin took him to their family lawyer. When the lawyer examined the entire investigation and reviewed the CCTV footage, he simply advised Finn not to take the matter further because when his friend Brian was murdered, only Finn and the old woman were present in the restaurant. There was no blame that could be placed on the old woman, and if they pursued this matter, Finn could get caught in all of it. The best thing for Finn would be not to push this case forward. Finn was completely trapped, so he said nothing and went straight home. By that time, Sophie had already learned about Brian's death. She was extremely sad, saying that Brian had been behaving strangely for a few days, but she didn't know what had happened that led him to commit suicide. All these events happening around Finn were overwhelming him. He couldn't understand what the underlying reason was. Finn wanted to investigate all of this deeply, but his mother firmly refused, stating that his health was just beginning to improve and that he shouldn't get involved in all of this. She insisted that Brian had not been mentally stable before, which is why he had taken his own life, so there was no need for them to think about it any further. Finn went to his room, trying to remain normal. As usual, when he went to take his medicine, he noticed something strange inside a small capsule. Finn quickly opened the capsule under the lamp and found a tiny bug inside it. He couldn't understand what this bug was doing in his capsules, especially since he had been taking them for several days. Without telling anyone, Finn hurried to Lena to show her what he had found. He explained how the bug had mixed with his pills and that he wanted to know what it was doing there. The two of them went to their college laboratory to investigate the bug. They asked their lab teacher about it. After observing it closely under the microscope for a while, the teacher was completely shocked. She explained that these bugs were found only near dead bodies. These bugs are very rare species that are used for special purposes. Finn made up a story to tell his teacher that he had found the bug in a jar, which is why he brought it with him. The two of them searched the internet for information and discovered that these bugs are used to create illusions. However, Finn couldn't understand why he was being given these pills. Lena then mentioned knowing a lady named Rose who conducts research on various types of bugs and also has a private shop. So, Lena took Finn directly to Rose. When they showed the small bug to Rose, she was shocked because these bugs were used to connect with dark forces. When Finn told Rose that he had been taking these pills for a while, which might be why he was experiencing hallucinations, Rose became very concerned for him because his life was now in danger. As soon as Rose asked Finn to look into her eyes, he began to have visions. In that vision, he saw his sister Sophie in trouble, with someone coming to harm her. Rose felt this too because of Finn and told him that they needed to perform an exorcism since these dark forces had attached themselves to him and could completely destroy his family. However, Finn didn't believe in ghosts or exorcisms at all, so he left with Lena. The next day at school, Mira, the girl Finn likes, came to him. Mira told Finn that she wanted to meet him and asked if she could come over to his house. But Finn was already very troubled, especially since his grandfather was having surgery that day. Without giving a proper response, he hurried to the hospital to support his grandfather during the operation. While there, Finn asked his grandfather a question. "Do you believe in ghost stories or spirits?" His grandfather replied, "Yes, I do. When I was young, I met a boy and saw things there that made me believe in these things." Soon after, Finn's grandfather was taken into the operating theater. While watching his grandfather, Finn noticed a black substance emerging from his grandfather's abdomen. It was a very dangerous scene, and Finn couldn't control himself. He began to scream loudly. Unfortunately, he was removed from the room for disturbing the operation, as it seemed that these strange things were visible only to Finn. He began to realize that perhaps Rose's words might be true, and he became very worried about his sister. Finn called Rose and asked her to come to his house for the exorcism. After leaving the hospital, Finn returned home, where Mira was also present. Mira had come to see Finn, but he wasn't interested in her because he was already troubled by his life. Finn's parents had gone out for some work, so they had given him permission to have Mira over. After a short time, Lena also arrived and started talking to Mira. By now, Rose had come with her son, intending to perform the exorcism on Finn's sister, Sophie. Mira and Lena joined the entire exorcism process. Rose approached Finn's sister Sophie, who was lying on the bed, and placed a doll beside her. Then she gathered everyone around the table and asked them to hold hands because the exorcism could only begin after completing this process. Rose turned off all the lights and started the exorcism, chanting strange incantations. Before long, a black shadow appeared in the room, proclaiming in a deep voice, "She is mine, and I will take her." This evil spirit began to attack Rose, and everyone watched in horror. At that moment, Mira, Lena, and Finn realized that evil spirits do exist. Just as the demon was about to kill Rose, Finn's parents arrived, causing the exorcism to abruptly halt. Rose was in a terrible condition, so she quickly left the house. Finn's friends also fled from the scene, and Finn followed them out. Because he knows that their lives are now in danger, Finn, Mira, and Lena spend the night inside an unknown factory, believing that staying together is the best option. The next day, when Finn goes to meet Rose, he discovers that she has left the country because she learned something that could cost her life. Inside the school, Finn's friend Max is shown to be completely out of control, trying to harm himself. He even goes to the top floor of the school and jumps off. Fortunately, he survives but is severely injured. As Max is being taken to the hospital, he tells Finn only one thing: check the files. This prompts Finn, Lena, and Mira to continue their investigation. Lena goes to a large organization where medicines are made, while Finn and Mira start checking the files that Max mentioned. They diligently go through all the documents. Meanwhile, Lena discovers that this organization plans to spread its dangerous medicine all over the world, and production has already begun. While traveling through the organization's basement, Lena sees many dead bodies and realizes that the dangerous parasites originate from these corpses. Unable to bear what she sees, she quickly flees from the scene. At the same time, Finn and Mira uncover a shocking truth. Finn learns that the parents he thought were his real ones are not actually his biological parents, they adopted him for a special reason. Shortly after, Max's father arrives, believing that all of this is happening because of Finn. He approaches Finn and says that whatever is happening is for the best and that he will eventually find his purpose. However, Max's father realizes that Finn and Mira have discovered that their parents are not real. Finn receives shocking news that his grandfather has died. When he goes to see him, a doctor also knocks him out. After a while, when Finn opens his eyes, he finds Mira in front of him. They were both tied to chairs, and it was none other than Finn and Mira's parents who had done this. They were taken to a strange place where a shocking reality was revealed. It was the dangerous parasite that was orchestrating everything. Finn and Mira, along with many other children, had no real parents. They were merely following the orders of the parasite to gradually increase its population. Everyone present there was affected except for Finn and Mira. To infect them as well, the process of transferring the parasite from Finn's grandfather to their bodies was initiated. This parasite had already evolved significantly and now aimed to inhabit the bodies of humans all over the world. That's why it had become so cunning, gradually converting people. The good news was that Lena had arrived at that location. She was determined to save her friends, so she fought off anyone who came in her way to free them. Lena successfully rescued Finn and Mira, and they began to flee. They all got into a car and drove away, but soon they noticed black smoke slowly entering the vehicle, indicating that the parasite's influence was beginning to affect them as well. As they reached a large bridge, their car got into an accident. This was the same place we saw at the beginning of the story. The three of them managed to get out safely, but they soon came across a massive advertisement for the dangerous medicine, indicating that the organization had started spreading this medicine worldwide. Now, they had to stay alert. As Finn and Lena moved a little further, Mira's eyes were shown, completely transformed and affected by the parasite. And this is how our terrifying story comes to an end.